This is the opening talk for the late September 2020 interconnected retreat in our homes, hosted by Springwater. And welcome everyone. It's wonderful to be together in this amazing way in our homes. We've been doing these retreats for a while now, and still it kind of amazes me as I look at this screen and there's the representations of each of us in such different locations. And it's like watching TV, yet as I tune in and quiet down, I can feel each of us as real beings, sitting here, being together, while at the same time being in our own spaces that we live in and day out. It's kind of a marvel. And it's wonderful that we can gather like this and have this quiet time to be with each other and be simply with what is. Especially in our homes where we tend to be busy. So this opportunity to be quiet, we call it a meditation retreat, which points to this quality of it being all right, not to be filling up the space with something, for space to be open and unknown, for the quality of being together to be open and unknown also. And part of the mystery of our different locations is the time zones. Here it's a little after 4 o'clock, and my body isn't used to doing this kind of thing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That in itself is interesting. So each of us a little different time in the cycle of the turning of the earth and its relationship with the sun, each with different weather and climates and the kind of plants that grow. All here together. And I don't know how it feels for you, but here it's this feeling of being in the middle of so much, so many currents that are going on. in multiple levels. And today I was just being with the complex feelings and sensations of those currents. And it's kind of neat in this open space to not define them too much, put them into categories of psychology, but to let them too be part of this interconnected whole and to be curious about the whole thing. Curious and open, and the word comes open-hearted to all of it. Because among these currents and dynamic movements that we are in the midst of, all these bodily responses, and all the responses changing and morphing and turning into something new. In our neighborhood, some fires came pretty close, and we even drove through an area that was burnt over, and still being with the emotional currents of all of that. While driving through a landscape that was all black. It's a grasslands with all the little plants burnt down to the ground. The visceral effects of that were powerful and are still here. And yet, after several days, those too have dissolved into other currents and feelings. And yet, they're still here too at the same time. Both the feelings and the utter mystery of the tactile experience of that kind of landscape. And after the fires, the ashes going up into the atmosphere, and one day creating such a haze that was so dark that we had to turn on the lights, and looking out the window to this kind of rose-colored orange hue of darkness. And now, at least in our neighborhood, the weather with the sea breezes has come, and it's a gorgeous day with blue skies and very little hint of a huge fire that's going on north of us in Mendocino County. So again, I'm just so glad that we can get together amidst all of this dynamic movement to be quiet. As those movements are honored and felt and touched, and also the palpable experience of this deep silence in which this all takes place. This utter mystery of being that is so vast and so beyond words. And so here we are being this and being these intimate human animal beings, putting one foot in front of another. Each moment of experience so vivid and alive in this bodily way. So this time together is the opportunity to quiet down and have some more space. And especially space to the mind activity that's trying to figure it all out and perhaps look for safety or hope. Interesting, just the evoking of that word, I could feel a ripple move through my body. And one of the things that's coming here is how this mind thinks about the future and is looking for some kind of control for things to be okay through various means, sometimes through just trying to understand and figure out what's going on so this being knows what to do. And these times are kind of opening that all up, that yes, we can care for ourselves and our loved ones as best we can. And we are part of an ever-changing, dynamic, living planet, living societies with all kinds of dynamics in motion. And it's really something to begin to open the heart to this. Even as these attempts and almost quivering animal attempts sometimes to arise in this to be safe. So right now it all feels like a wonder. All of it. The simple intimacy of sitting in this chair and after the talk, standing up and walking. and the wonder of the alchemy of all of us being together, both to share this silence and to talk, to sense into things together, to have this open space where we can be with what is alive here right now as we're experiencing it, and point to it, share something of it. Find a way to acknowledge and articulate what is here. And then the opportunity in this alchemy for us to listen to one another and see what arises here. And maybe find a way to share that. And there's something beautiful that happens in this exchange, in this acknowledgement, in this articulating, and in this listening. Especially when there's the space of silence. To allow that meditative aspect to be here with both the moment of the sounds of the words and the quality of us being together, and being with whatever the words are pointing to or evoking. And then one of the other ways we can reflect and share with one another is in private meetings. And so we have the sign-up sheet on a Google Doc, and if there's any trouble with doing that, just email me. And we have this wonder to have private meetings with each other as well. I'm thinking now of when we're sharing a in-person retreat in Springwater. That this first sitting, this first talk is a kind of looking for the right word, opening into the silence, into a kind of container that is the retreat. And what a beautiful thing that is. And so, even as we are in all of our different locations and each of us participating in the retreat in different ways with various activities and demands in our lives going on, perhaps the spirit of this container of the alchemy and mutual connection and kind of all that a container implies, that there's space here to have, like to acknowledge that this time can include the reflection and the pauses and the openness to be with each moment as we put one foot in front of the other. And maybe some diminishment of that feeling that we have to be producing and on our way somewhere, even as we do things and accomplishing things, but kind of an invitation for that larger, more open space to include our everyday lives. Just sitting here feeling the silence and feeling it here and feeling the shared silence with everyone, each in our own homes. Really glad we're here together. All right, let's end the words here.